So from this trip, I think the biggest thing that has stood out to me is that money is not what brings happiness. I know it's been said a lot, like money can't buy you happiness and stuff, but like to really experience it, these people have nothing. They have nothing. They don't have toilets. They don't have hot water. They don't have clean water half the time, you know, but they're happy because they have family, you know, they have their rituals, they have their culture, and they're just satisfied with what they have. And it just makes you realize that the people in America or Canada that are more fortunate, we just take so many things for granted. We are so greedy in a sense of we want all the materials we can have. We want everything. But we're still not happy because we just want and want and want. However, these people, I mean, they just open my eyes like to so many different things that I really want to come back here, and I think everybody needs to come here just to see how it really is, because hearing it is not enough. You need to come and see how they really live and maybe get a greater appreciation for the life that you have and the life that your parents provide you. Or, I mean, I don't know what else.
What I hope I can take away from this experience is taking like the Karibu spirit, did I say that right? Karibu, of Kenya. Everybody is so welcoming. The first thing we hear out of anybody's mouth is Jumbo, Karibu, 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 which means welcome in Swahili. And I hope that I can be that welcoming to other people, whether it be in the United States, people I just meet on the side of the road, anything. I don't know, I think that's really important. But I think that all the learning experiences I learned here, even just from talking to people about the United States to just meeting new people, I think was a really important takeaway too. I grew up a lot these past 2 weeks, so that was really important.
It's a life-changing experience. It's something I would do over and over again.
I think the most interesting thing that I've discovered on this trip, though, is that we sat around in class and we tried to brainstorm ideas, and we put academic thought into what we can do to help solve some of the many problems that Kenyans face and Africans in general face every day. And when I arrived, and after talking to people,
Let's start again with when I arrived and start talking to you.
and when I arrived and started talking to the people here in Kenya, I was always impressed at how they have already put on all that thought that we thought that we were doing, and all the answers that we thought we were going to bring to Kenya to help them is really minuscule compared to the thought processes they've put in place to try to solve their own problems. I think the biggest challenge that they face is resources, and money does not fix the resources, because if a man was stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire and you threw a $100 bill out the road at him as you drove by, he would still be stranded, and he would still have a flat tire, and he would still, the money is not the answer. And that example is poor to truly explain the desperation that people go through. And I think our visit to Salga was an example of that, and where women would trade sex for 20 shillings or 50 shillings, and if that's less than $1, and we say, well, why do they do that, and why HIV, don't they know about HIV and all this other? But they do. But when it comes down to feeding your family and truly living from hand to mouth and the desperation that they face, you see survival. And survival is that you have to do what you got to do to survive, and that may be having unprotected sex, even though that they know that they're putting themselves at risk for HIV, because that way they get twice as much for the pay as they would if they didn't. And it's just desperation and sadness. And I don't think that all the answers that we had in class and all these ideas that we had amounted to much of anything when we hit the road here, because they really had put thought into it. And there was ideas like just one camera could transform a school from being in poverty into success, because then they could take pictures of the kids and do school pictures like we're used to back in America, and then sell them to the parents for maybe 10 shillings, and it cost them 5 to produce. And somehow to empower the people of Africa to be able to make a difference in their own lives instead of just thinking that we're going to throw them an idea or throw them a dollar or something and that's going to help them, but somehow support them as a global community and realize that they really are our neighbors. They're our brothers and sisters. They just happen to live somewhere else.
The biggest lesson I've learned over this experience is I think I've really been confronted with my own privilege as a Caucasian American woman. And I think it's just struck me how much I take for granted every day. And to watch what some of these individuals in our, our global community are going through, some of the women, some of the children, I find it at times throughout this trip disgusting that we can sit and do nothing. And so my biggest takeaway is that I'm going to actively acknowledge what's happening in our global community, and I'm going to continue to work to make change, to improve the lives of everyone, because that's what we all deserve. There was a sign in one of the schools that said, it was a poster that said on the top across it, human rights, and it said right to an education, right to choose our own leaders, right to clean water, right to food, right to shelter. And these children are being confronted with this sign every single day in their school, and most of them don't have the right to do any of these things. And I think we have the responsibility as global partners to try to support this community and improve their quality of living. And that doesn't mean changing their lifestyle or changing the way they live, because it's not anything that we need to fix or change. We just need to give support and help empower these people to make their own changes and use their own ideas to get where they need to be.
I think that the biggest thing that I took away from this is not everything is what it's made out to be. How we learned about Africa and how a lot of people are struggling with like HIV and AIDS and they're poor, and we just assume that if they're poor and they're struggling that they're not happy, but they're not. Like every single person that I met there, I felt like they were truly happy with themselves and that they really were enjoying life just the way it was. Like I know some of the times were like, but how is that? But I felt like everyone that I met there, they really enjoyed showing us what Kenya was all about and talking with us. Like everywhere we went with Mr. Ventura, he really wanted to show us everything about Kenya, like taking that detour and going out all these sides of the mountains and through these villages, and him explaining everything and getting tea in Kenya. In Kenya, it's all about just relaxing and enjoying life. I feel like that's one of the big things that just how you can't take things for granted almost, that you have to live in the moment too, kind of, a little bit. Because you never know that if you don't take an opportunity or something like that. I've really learned from just talking with the students that if an opportunity presents itself, it's almost best to really take it if you truly want it, because you never know if it's going to come around again. And with the students, how they say they're always working and they really want to go to university, if they had that opportunity, I could guarantee you every single one of them would take it. Another thing that I think will always stay with me is just the fact that all the students that I talk to at the Ngata school, that they're all really motivated to do the work, but sometimes they don't think they have enough time to do the work. So just how here in America, we're all about time and rushing things and stuff. But I feel like if we were in their situation, that we wouldn't be able to handle as much pressure as they're under and to succeed like they're doing. Like how some of these kids, they go to school for so long, but then they go home and they have to take care of their brothers and sisters and then go and do work and do homework. But some of them are still on the top of their class, like how they rank them there. One of the girls, I think she said she was number 2 and she was going to get to number 1 by the end of it. But she was saying how she takes care of her brothers, and then she introduced me to her brothers when she said brothers. I was thinking maybe 2, 3. No, there was like 4 of them, maybe a couple more, but it just amazes me how they really do work together too to get to what they need done, and they help each other a lot more.